A dark time in my life. Ooh, well, one that changed my life for a very long time, forever, even to this day, was the death of my father. He was 56 years old, and it actually happened one day to the next. He died of a heart attack, and the last words that I told him were, "I hate you, I hope you die." And as I'm telling you this right now, I still can't believe it. I'm still in shock. This has been 11 years ago. Actually, no, 15 years ago. And it's every day, there's not a second in my mind that goes by where I regret having said these awful things to my father, all because I was adolescent, angry young girl. And so I took it out on him because it was the only way I knew how to. And so when he passed away, for me, that's it. There's no way of finding closure. I'm here alone. My mother is in another world, with all respect. She's in a whole other completely world. So I have to be there for her too, but while being in a zombie-like state. My brother was 5 years old, and when that happened, when he died, part of him changed as well. He was sitting in the waiting room in the hospital, and that's when I noticed a change in him too, from personality, soul, his spirit. Part of his spirit died, and I don't know. I was. See, like you can tell, I start getting all nervous just talking about it, and my mind starts to wander because I don't want to go there, but I have to go there to kind of reflect on it, and it really hurt me that his alcoholism really hurt me. Oh, and then sometimes I'd just pour the bottles. I'd pour them, and then he'd get mad at me for pouring them out, for throwing them away. Just the fact that he would always be constantly drinking. After work, he'd come home. We'd get to a little hang time, watch a movie. But during all of this, he'd be drinking, and then he'd get more verbal. So he'd say a lot of things he didn't mean while he was drinking, and then the next morning it'd be like completely from scratch, normal father, very very quiet and calm, kept to himself. So there was always that the completely bipolar spectrum of, in the mornings we have our dad that's healthy and sober, little quiet, and at nighttime the werewolf comes out. And so that was a long going argument with him. I'd always tell him, please just stop, please just leave that alone. And so I think he was definitely self-medicating with alcohol, and that just put a lot of stress on the family and on my mother. My mother would constantly berate him because she was also very reactionary. If only we all calmed down and were able to breathe a little, we probably wouldn't have said these mean things to each other. So she would say a lot of mean things to him to get him to stop drinking. But eventually, things come out of your hand. Control leaves your hand, and before you know it, life takes over. And that's when he passed away. And then, funny enough, dark humor. I guess I try to find humor in everything. We would judge him so much on his drinking that down the line, when we moved back to Guadalajara, Mexico, my mother started going down the same road, and then I started just try to get out of the house as much. So I try to drink with my friends, but that was not the way at all. I just felt so disgusting and like a hypocrite, and it just didn't mend well with me at all. So that's why I took to music. Music is my father's skin, his actual skin, not the skin we have as humans. But I feel that because of him, it was because of him that I got into music. Ever since I was born, he'd put on classical music, Mozart, Beethoven. He loved Baroque music. But because of him, my brothers play music. We were obsessed with poetry because of him, of Sylvia Plath. And so it just gave me a link to feel connected to the dead in a way. And I think that's a beautiful thing coming from Mexican culture, where we honor the dead because they fought their whole lives to give. For example, my father, he fought his whole life in his own way. He loved us in his own way, and he fought for us in his own way. And I want to honor him with that, and through music. And I think also throughout the years, as I start kind of putting my father on a pedestal, besides everything that we went through, it's not just my father, but it's the roots that pertain to my father and my mother. And so music is. It saved me from going south. Let's just say that. It saved me from going south because music is a great pretext to get to play with other people, listen to music together, travel around the country, the world, and just basically, it's also very psychological. You start getting to know different cultures, different people, different languages. So to me, music is father and mother. And for me, music or art in general, it helped me to just be more comfortable in my own physical skin, but more beyond all of that, I feel like I've become more of a spiritual person where I'm not afraid to have more of an open dialogue. I feel a little less alone. It helps you feel less alone, even though, nothing ever takes that entirely away. But with that being said, that moment when you feel less alone makes everything else worth it. Makes all of that darkness worth coming to the point where you reach that little light, even if it's for a second, Because some people never even find that little light, ever. So let's find that little light. And if we don't find it, it'll find us. That's for sure. Maybe it's a defense mechanism, but it's very easy to forget to tell people or your loved ones that you love them. So, I love you. I love you, yeah, because I didn't say that enough to him. I was too up my own ego. Yeah, those little egos, they could hold you back, the pride, all that pride that I had, that we all had. I guess that's where I got it from. But yeah, papá, te quiero mucho. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't my fault. So it wasn't anyone's fault. Maybe we should just stop branding it as a fault of one owner. What could have happened, and I guess the only way to continue to go forward is just to try to release some of that guilt. It's really hard, but if I could just go back and talk to myself at 13, I'd be like, breathe, close your eyes and just breathe. You don't want to make any rash decisions or any reactionary traits just based on an instant. So just breathe. Breathe. It could be the worst thing, your father dying, your mother dying in front of you. But that control is not in your hands. It's that power is not in your hands. You have to learn to let go. Just try to find yourself in something that you're creating. And at the end of the day, you realize that you weren't looking for yourself at all. You were really looking for others, the outside experience that helps brighten up and whiten up your perspective of life. You matter, you're needed, and you rock.